Are you wondering when and how to safely start working out after having a baby? You're not alone. Many postpartum moms want to regain strength and feel like themselves again, but aren't sure where to start or how to do it safely. In this episode, we're diving into postpartum recovery, when you should begin exercising, and the best way to ease back into movement without risk of injury. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, and like you've lost yourself in the postpartum chaos? Wondering how to nourish your body, regain your strength, and finally feel like you again? Hey, I'm Val, a functional sports dietitian, postpartum fitness coach, and mama who's been right where you are. Welcome to the Strong and Nourished Mama podcast, where I help busy moms like you reclaim your energy, your strength, and your confidence through simple nutrition and wellness strategies. If you're ready to feel strong, nourished, and unstoppable, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey mama, welcome back. Are you feeling frustrated every time you try to work out because your core just doesn't feel the same? Or maybe you're still dealing with that lingering postpartum belly, maybe some back pain, or even peeing a little when you sneeze or run after your toddler. You've tried to do crunches, planks, or even random workouts that you've seen on social media or Instagram, wherever you're looking, but nothing seems to be helping, at least not in a way that feels sustainable. I was right where you are. I was struggling with a weak core, diastasis recti, that ab separation, and the urge to get back into my exercise routine as soon as possible after having my baby girl. But every time I pushed myself too hard or did the wrong exercises, I felt even worse. I knew there had to be a better way. That's why I created the Restore Your Core Bootcamp. It's a completely free 45-minute session where I'll walk you through exactly what's happening with your core and pelvic floor postpartum, and what you can do to start rebuilding your strength the right way. No guessing, no frustration, just clear, practical steps to help you feel stronger and more confident in your body again. This session is happening on April 16th at 12 p.m. Mountain Time. And to sign up, go to wellnessbyval.com/bootcamp and save your spot today. If you can't make it live, that's okay, because I will be sending you the recording along with the resources. So be sure to go to wellnessbyval.com/bootcamp for the free 45-minute Restore Your Core Bootcamp. If you are tired of feeling stuck and want real guidance to actually restore your core, I invite you to join me for this free bootcamp. Your strong, confident, and empowered self is waiting. Let's do this together. So you had your baby, and now you're probably thinking, hey, Val, when can I start exercising again? Or when can I get back into running or go to CrossFit or go to the gym? When can I start blank again? I want to get back into my movement routine. I want to get back into my exercise routine that I was doing probably during pregnancy and before pregnancy. This was me. After having my baby girl in August 2023, I was so excited and ready to get back into exercise. I knew I had to recover, focus on fueling, of course, for healing, to be able to recover my core, my pelvic floor, take my time. But mentally, I was so ready to get back into the gym, to start lifting weights, to hang out with my girlfriends. But I knew that physically I wasn't ready. I wasn't there. So of course, I took the time to recover, but there were definitely things that I did before my 6-week checkup, because we have that 6-week checkup, right? You give birth to your baby, and then right there, your doctor's saying, hey, let's schedule your 6-week check-in. Let's schedule this appointment to see how you're healing and how you're recovering. And a lot of the times we think, oh, I can't do anything during that 6 weeks. I just have to sit on the couch and take care of my baby. And of course you can totally do that. I mean, I did that. I was on the couch. I was eating my overnight oats, all of the food, breastfeeding my babe, hanging out. I also did things before that 6-week checkup to start the recovery process, so that when I did go back to the gym, when it was ready to get back to working out, I had those basics and those foundations set. We have to make sure that we're avoiding the common mistakes after having our baby, which is rushing back into intense workouts too soon. So some of us, we may be on this spectrum of, hey, I'm not going to do anything. I'm afraid to do anything. Or depending on birth, maybe we had a C-section or we tore or whatever was going on, we may feel, hey, a little conservative. I'm not going to do much and I'm not going to do anything until my 6-week appointment with my OB. Others may say, hey, you know what? No, this is my second baby. I'm just going to rush back into it. I'm good. Maybe it's your first babe and you are just so gung-ho and ready to get back into the gym and you jump back into your intense workouts too soon. This is a mistake that we want to avoid because, again, we're healing. Labor and birth, that is a lot. First of all, you grew a human for 9 months and your body changed so much during this time. Not only physically, but also mentally. And we have to give it time. It's not just 9 months of being pregnant, growing your baby, having your baby, and then, okay, cool, you're done. You can go back to normal. We have to be able to take the time to recover. And if we jump back into those intense workouts too soon, it's going to hurt us in the long run. And it's going to really affect our core and our pelvic floor. And that's mistake number 2, is ignoring your core and pelvic floor rehab. And sometimes it can be boring, especially if you're used to running 5Ks or half marathons or doing CrossFit competitions or just going to the gym or group fitness classes, whatever it is that you're doing. And then you're doing these core and pelvic floor rehab recovery exercises. It may feel a little boring, but I am here to tell you, it is needed. You have to do it. And if you ignore the core and the pelvic floor rehab, just like rushing back into intense workouts too soon, it's going to haunt you and it's going to take even longer to recover. Another common mistake is overlooking warning signs like leaking, pain, or pressure. Because we were pregnant for 9 months and you have your baby in your uterus, you have all of this pressure on your core and your pelvic floor. After having your baby, we have to be able to relearn this mind-body connection again. We have to, this neuromuscular connection where we're bringing the nervous system, the mind, and our muscles together to be able to recover and rehab our core and pelvic floor so that we don't have the leaking, the incontinence, whether it's peeing or even having a bowel movement when we don't want to, or maybe there's pain or this pressure. Like I feel like something is just like coming out of me. What is that? When I start running and jumping or even just doing the activities around the house, laundry, picking up a laundry basket or picking up your baby or the toys. All of these things are warning signs that we cannot overlook. So the 3 common mistakes to avoid: 1, rushing back into intense workouts too soon; 2, ignoring core and pelvic floor rehab; and 3, overlooking warning signs like leaking, pain, and pressure. We have to remember that taking care of our little one and healing and recovering physically and mentally is the number 1 priority, and getting back to blank exercise can wait. It can wait, mama. I know it's hard and you want to get back there, and you totally will. You will. I'm not saying you won't. But right now, especially within those first 6 weeks, it's time to heal, recover, and take care of your little one. And I am going to share with you some things that you can do within those first 6 weeks to jumpstart that journey. Now, one of my certifications in prenatal and postpartum fitness is from Brianna Battles. She is amazing. And she says it's important to be intentional and restorative with everything during this phase, during this immediate postpartum phase, your 4th trimester, because it allows for greater intensity later on. And that's what we want. That's what we need. If we take the time to heal, recover, understand what warning signs or symptoms are going on, focus on the basics, then we will be able to do harder, more intense things later on so that you can get back into running and training for that half marathon or get back into the gym for heavy lifts without worrying about peeing. I remember it was before I was pregnant. My husband was doing a CrossFit competition. Actually, no, it was after I had my baby girl. I took her with us to the competition. And of course, I was early postpartum. So I was just recovering. I think it was like 2 months after I had her. And one of the athletes, she was doing an amazing job and she had incontinence. She was peeing because of the intensity and the heavy lifts that was going with the CrossFit competition. And I overheard her saying, "Oh, I just had a baby. It's okay." And I wanted us to understand that that is a symptom that we want to be able to look into. It's not that you can't do those exercises. It's just if we are having that incontinence or that pressure feeling or the bulging of our core, the doming, that is a warning sign that we need to look deeper into our core and pelvic floor health, because then it will help us later on for those intensities, the high intensity workouts that we want to do. And everyone's recovery timeline, it's going to be different. And more than likely, it's going to be different for you after each baby. Something that I hear from my clients as well as my friends is, oh, the recovery process after the second baby, it doesn't seem as bad. And maybe that's because your body knows, your body has already gone through it once, but you also know mentally and physically of the things that you can and cannot do. During this timeline, when we have this 6-week checkup, it's not like at the 6-week check-in with your OB and they clear you, you're going to be a totally different person. And you're going to be like, okay, you're cleared. You can go back to having intercourse and exercise. And you're going to be like, yeah, let's go to CrossFit. Yeah, let's go do the half marathon training. It's probably not going to be that way. You're going to be progressively working up to that, progressively getting back to that place. The 6-week checkup is about the time it takes your cervix and your uterus to heal and go back into place. It doesn't mean that your uterus, which is a muscle, is ready to just withstand everything, right? You may still have some bleeding after the 6 weeks. It just means that the 6-week period post-birth is the time, how long it takes for the cervix and uterus to heal and go back into place for a majority of people, not every person, okay? There's a lot going on postpartum with your hormones, your core, your pelvic floor, your joints, everything. You were carrying your baby for 9 months. It took time to grow that baby, and it's going to take time to recover from everything that your body endured, that your body had to go through. So patience is key, mama. Patience is key. There are common postpartum conditions that affect exercise. Diastasis recti, that abdominal separation, pelvic floor weakness, incontinence, prolapse, and if any of this is happening, you're going to want to make sure that you are listening to your body, you're aware of this, and know that we have to take care of it. Because some of these common postpartum conditions are labeled as normal. Like, oh, it's normal to pee after you have a baby, or it's normal to have this bulging, doming in your core or abdominal area after having a baby, or feel like something's falling out of you after having a baby. And it is not normal. It's common, and it's a symptom of weak or unstable core pelvic floor, along with other things going on. And we have to understand that. This is why I am offering the Restore Your Core Bootcamp. It's totally free. It's 45 minutes. You're going to learn so much. You're going to learn how to strengthen your core and move with confidence postpartum in this bootcamp with me. So be sure to go to wellnessbyval.com/bootcamp. It's happening on Wednesday, April 16th at 12 p.m. Mountain Time. But don't worry, if you can't make it, you are getting the recording, you are getting the resources right to your inbox. So be sure to reserve your spot. So when can you start exercising postpartum? You had your baby, you're focusing on the basics, which I'm going to teach you in this boot camp, to be able to start healing your core and your pelvic floor before your 6-week checkup. But what can you do, or when can you start exercising after you have your baby? There are some general guidelines for returning to movement. You don't have to do nothing those 6 weeks. You can if you want, but you don't have to wait for the doctor to say, okay, hey, you're good. There are things that you can do in that early postpartum period to aid in the healing process and to start getting in some movements like deep breathing and gentle stretching. This is going to be so helpful, especially when you want to build that intensity later on. When you have a goal a year after having your baby, you want to run a half marathon, or you want to do a CrossFit competition, or you want to enter in whatever you want to do. This is going to help. So first, get familiar with your new body. You have a new body. When a baby is born, a mother is born. Your body has gone through so much over the last year. First of all, be grateful. Give yourself grace. Like, how badass are you that you grew this human and you gave birth to this human? And then you recover so quickly. It may not feel like that, but you do. Like, looking back, you recover so fast. We just have to give that to our body. We have to be able to take the time to heal and recover. Something to pay attention to when you're getting familiar with your new body. What are your typical positions and how does it feel? How are you sitting? How are you standing? How are you holding your baby? Are you hanging out on the spine? That's something common I see with moms. And I can tell that they hung out on the spine holding their baby, even if their kid's 7 years old, because of the way their posture and their stance and their core is 7 years after birth. If you are just standing there, have this posterior pelvic tilt, and you're just hanging out on the spine, or maybe you're clenching your glutes and your hips are shifted forward, your low back starts to hurt, maybe you're sucking in your belly or holding your breath. How do you feel during these movements and these typical positions that you are in every single day? Standing, sitting, activities of daily living. How do you feel when you sit down on the toilet to pee? How do you feel when you pick up the laundry basket or your baby? Start to become aware of how you're holding tension in your abs, your glutes, your pelvic floor, and your entire body. This is going to be key. First, get familiar with your new body. It's gone through so much. Be grateful, give yourself grace, and then understand what's going on in your typical positions every single day. A lot of us aren't even aware of this. How are you holding your baby? What's going on? This is going to be so helpful so that when you are ready to move into more structured workouts, you are going to have a good foundation. Now, each day and each week, you're going to start to pay attention to how you're feeling and how you're healing. And this is going to be really good information for you so that you know, okay, you know what, maybe I can start walking a little bit. Maybe I can start doing some body weight movements and stretching. Maybe I can do a little bit more each week because I'm allowing myself to heal. Now, if you are getting signs like bleeding, pain, or no progress on healing, then these are signs that you should wait longer or seek professional guidance. So, for example, postpartum, I got back into walking. It was just a light walk to the mailbox at a snail's pace. And then the next week, I went a little bit further. And then the next week, I was able to go a little bit faster. And then one week, I remember I started bleeding again. It was just light bleeding. And so I told myself, okay, Val, chill out. You're going a little too fast. You're going a little too intense too quickly. Your uterus is telling you, your body is physically telling you, hey, chill out, woman. And so I backed off. I went slower. I didn't go as far. And then eventually, over time, when I was 4 months postpartum, I was walking like 3 miles, 4 or 5 days a week, pushing my little one in the stroller. And I first started by just walking to the mailbox, which is not far from my house, at a snail's pace. So understand that if you have any of these signs, you need to wait longer or seek professional guidance. Don't be afraid. And that professional guidance can be your OB, but it also could be a pelvic floor physical therapist or someone who is trained like me in prenatal and postpartum fitness and movement. So how do you safely ease back into your workouts, ease back into your movement? It all starts with your breath. It all starts with your breath. And this is what you are going to be doing soon after birth, being able to reconnect with your breath and that neuromuscular connection. And this is what I am teaching you in the boot camp. I don't care if you're 2 weeks postpartum or 7 years postpartum. If we don't have a good practice on breathing, then that's going to negatively impact how you are controlling intra-abdominal pressure. And it's going to impact if you're peeing while you're jumping, you're peeing on a heavy deadlift, or whatever is going on. So go to wellnessbyval.com/bootcamp to sign up and save your spot today, because we are starting with the foundations. One of the things I am teaching you is how to use your breath to heal and to recover. I have met with a client a couple months ago. She's in her 60s, and we are talking about the same basics that I talk about with a mom who's early postpartum. So her daughter is in her 20s, and we are going back to the basics so that she can have the strength and the stability to be able to do all of the things that she wants to do when it comes to exercise and have that core strength. Some recommended exercises. We have phase 1, and everyone's phases are going to be a little different. Okay, so this is very generalized, but you're going to be able to understand this when you go through the boot camp. Phase 1 is that 0 to 6 weeks, breathing exercises, gentle walking, maybe some other movements that I'm going to teach you in this boot camp. Phase 2 is 6+ weeks after clearance. So we know that the cervix and the uterus are back to their normal position. We're no longer bleeding. Stitches are healed. And this may depend too if you've had a C-section. We may need a little bit longer. And that's going to be a totally different recovery, of course. But you can't neglect core and pelvic floor when you had a C-section because they are still impacted, okay? Body weight movements, resistance band exercises, progressive walking. Like I said, I was increasing that intensity and that duration of walking. And then phase 3, the 3 months plus postpartum, is that gradual progression. This is where we are integrating that strength training. We are fine-tuning that neuromuscular connection. I remember I was in the gym, I think it was like 4 months postpartum. I was doing a deadlift and I felt like I've never deadlifted in my life. I was like, hold on, how does everything move together at once? What am I doing? I need help. Something else you can add in, low impact cardio and eventually higher intensity workouts, especially depending on what your body is communicating with you. If you have that doming or coning, we have to go back to the basics. The core and the pelvic floor, we're never going to forget about that. Even 12 months postpartum. I am 18 months postpartum, and I am still doing the exercises that I'm going to be teaching you in this boot camp. And thank God, because I am stronger for it. I ran 30 minutes this morning without having any incontinence. I was able to do some heavy lifts without having any incontinence or feeling weak in my core. So that's what I am teaching you in this free boot camp. Again, it's free. Why not? Attend it. There are some exercises that you want to avoid initially. Those high impact exercises, crunches, heavy lifting without that core engagement. It goes back to the breath. Even when you're not pregnant, even before you have a baby or get pregnant, this is really important, those foundations. So let's do a quick recap. Today we are talking about postpartum exercise, when and how to safely return to workouts after birth. We cannot neglect the recovery time. We have to take the time to heal, to recover, and understand that being intentional and restorative with everything we are doing, especially early on postpartum, is going to allow for greater intensity later on. The 6-week checkup is for your OB to assess everything, see how recovery is going, and usually it's about the time that your cervix and uterus are healing and going back into their normal place after having a baby. There are some things that you can do early postpartum within those first 6 weeks to be able to jumpstart that recovery process. I'm going to teach you that in the boot camp. And then when you are going back into exercise, we want to think progressive and slow. First, start to think of your typical positions. How does it feel? How are you standing? How are you walking? How are you breathing? All of these things, because that's going to set you up for success. And then you'll be able to know when you're ready for more structured workouts. But be sure to pay attention to those signs like bleeding, pain, or no progress on healing so that you can seek professional guidance. We have these different phases for recommended exercise. Phase 1, 0 to 6 weeks, where we're breathing, gentle walking, and other things that I will teach you in the boot camp. Phase 2, it's that 6+ weeks after clearance, body weight movements, resistance band exercises, progressive walking with a purpose, and I will teach you that as well. And then phase 3, it's 3+ months postpartum, where you're gradually progressing, strength training, low impact cardio, and eventually higher intensity workouts. And guess what? You don't have to be a year postpartum to be doing this. You can be 10 years postpartum, 20 years postpartum, and you're probably still thinking, hey, I can't jump on a trampoline without peeing. I can't cough or sneeze without peeing. That goes back to the core and the pelvic floor, and you are still going to benefit it from this boot camp. So listen to your body, progress at your own pace, focus on consistency over intensity, and know where to find help. Pelvic floor physical therapists are great. And don't forget about postpartum fitness specialists like myself, and be sure to attend the Restore Your Core Bootcamp. It's free. It's happening on April 16th at 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and you are going to be getting the recording if you cannot make it, along with the resources. So go to wellnessbyval.com/bootcamp to save your spot today. I hope this episode blessed you and gave you so much information for your postpartum journey to be able to actually heal the right way, to get back into your workouts and everything that you want to do as a mom. It is possible, mama. It is possible to work out, do those heavy lifts, go on a run, play with your toddler without being or feeling weak. Hey mama, I hope you loved today's episode. If it resonated with you, would you please take 30 seconds to share it with another mom, a mom who's looking to make healthy eating and exercise easier, because we need that. And if you haven't yet, I would be so grateful if you could leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts. It truly means the world to me and helps the show reach more amazing moms like you. All right, time to chase my toddler around. Stay strong and nourished, and I will be back on Monday with another episode. Talk soon.